Welcome to Contemplative Living, where we view contemplations for the week to have a better understanding of our spiritual paths. This is Contemplative Living with Dave Bennett, contemplations and reflective meditations. Hello and welcome to another Contemplative Living, where we talk about concepts to bring contemplative living into everyday life. Well, today we're working with some new tech, so I'm hoping this comes across really well. And if you're out there and you want to give some shout-outs, I'd love to see who's out there. And so let me just play here with a little bit so I can see what's going on. Okay, so William, good morning. Glad you could join us. All right, so let's get into it. Life presents an array of infinite possibilities. When you make a decision as to what you do next, then your immediate future becomes aligned. Now, this is kind of a thought that brings in quantum mechanics and quantum theory, where all the potential, all of our potentials are available to us. And I actually saw this in my near-death experience in my life review, because in my life review, I also went into kind of like I call it a life preview, where I got to see this corridor of future potential. And in this corridor, you could see a main path that was laid out before me that I had chosen in this life. But also on the periphery, I could see all this other potential. So if I wanted to, I could turn one way, but I would always be kind of guided back to the center core, or I could go the other way and again be guided back to the center path. But it showed me that yes, we do have free will, but we've set some things up in our lives. And I've been fortunate enough to live enough years after my near-death experience to actually see that a lot of what was in the core path has come to pass. But when I use my free will and my loving intention, and I decide that I want to move in a certain direction, that potential then becomes part of the focus, and the universe aligns that for us. So I find that just incredibly comfortable to know that the universe is supporting us. Eckhart Tolle once said, "When you become comfortable with uncertainty, infinite possibilities open up in your life." And that's the way I feel in this life, is that we have infinite possibilities and that they can open up once we become comfortable with the uncertainty. And also it takes a bit of free will to allow ourselves to allow life to unfold in the way the universe is helping us and aligning with us. So to live with enthusiasm is to find our heart's intention, so we can serve our communities and ourselves in significant ways. I believe it's critically important to give back. It's part of the cycles of life. We receive and we give. And to be plugged into our life fully, we need to serve our family, our community, the world in whole. And how do we do that? We do that with enthusiasm. We do that by living life fully. We do that by being the best person that we possibly can be, and by working on ourselves in order to do that. Good morning, Gail. Glad to see you could join us. So we're talking about living our lives and being aware of our heart's intention so that we can become that person that we really want to be, and we can live the life that we really want to live. In a conscious universe, any form of attention, even that of a passive observer, manifests actual particles from the waves of potential. Now, we see this in quantum mechanics and quantum physics, where waves are potential, and they exist as kind of, they're part of the universe. But then once a passive observer, you or I, look at and observe, then those waves become particles. In other words, they become manifest. They become what we see as the physical world. That's important to be aware of, because it shows us that our intentions, that's our passive observer. Our intentions are our passive observer. And they are what help us to manifest the life that we really wish and the life that we really choose. Okay, studio's a little too complicated for me sometimes this morning. But a good way to understand this experience is to align your focus with universal intelligence. And how do we do that? We do that with meditation. We do that with concerted focus. And in that contemplative space, in that meditative space, we focus our contemplation. So in that place, we're allowing ourselves to commune with the oneness, with universal intelligence. It allows us to receive insights to help us in our path. We come to crossroads every day. Every day in our lives, we come to crossroads where we need to make a decision. But if we've spent time in stillness and spent time in creating a harmony within ourselves, we receive those insights that tell us when we come to those crossroads which way to turn. And that is incredibly helpful in our lives. Lost track of where I was. Okay, here we go. And we create our personal history by deciding which possibility to explore and working our way through that action. Again, we're talking about creating a life that is where we can thrive, where we can be authentic. And we create this history of being authentic by all of our actions. And so we need to instill that into our being, into who we are. We pull that from our true nature. We pull that from our essence, our spiritual essence, and bring it into this physical reality of who we are. So deciding which possibilities that we want to work for and which directions we want to go in, we always base it on our true nature. We always base it on our core identity, our core authenticity. And that allows it to flow more with ease and grace. It allows us to then be much more who we really want to be. Empowering your inner being, your soul consciousness, you enter the realm where all possibilities are genuine. In that realm, all possibilities are real, but they have yet to be manifest. We talked about this just a few seconds ago. But what we need to do Good morning, Ted. Glad to see you here. What we need to do is empower our inner being so that we're connected to our soul consciousness. And we do this again with stillness and contemplative periods where we can find that harmony and can find that center within our being. And we use that in our day-to-day to stay focused, to stay on track. And in that stillness, that's where we enter the realm of all possibilities. That's where our heart's intentions are the clearest. That's where we can see what our heart really desires. Not the surface stuff, but what really, really matters to us. Many times when someone is facing, critical decisions in life, there's a clarity that comes over us. And in that clarity, we know what's important. Well, imagine living your life knowing what's important all the time and not allowing the frivolous little circumstances to get in your way, to become stumbling blocks, to become stones in your pathway. You can step over them when you have that knowing of what's really important. Within our inner being, we have the power to evaluate any of our greatest potentials. We have that within us. Our true essence, our true nature, connects to all of our potential. And within that potential, we can see the shadow, we can see the light in the dark. It all becomes one within who we are, and we can then explore that and evaluate what do we need in this physical reality to help us, to help our families, to help our communities. I hope you join me this week in spending some time in contemplation and connecting to your true essence, connect to your potential, to your soul's potential, and bringing that forth in your week. Have a glorious week. Namaste.